friends, strangers, internet. My name is Emily. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. And welcome back to another Chatty Get Ready with me. This is a format that I do fairly often that gives me a space to talk about whatever might be on my mind and also play in makeup. And today I need to talk about why intuitive eating is not for me and why it also might not be for you, particularly if you're a fellow neurospicy human. If you like colorful makeup, if you like bitches with lots of opinions, or you just like cute fat babes, I would love for you to subscribe, and let's jump into this thing. So this whole topic started from an article that I read. I don't remember who shared it. Actually Autistic on Twitter, I believe, shared it. And I saw this article last week, 2 weeks ago. It's from 2021, I believe. The article is called Adapting Intuitive Eating for Neurodivergent People. I was trying to figure out what I might like to film about because that is always a struggle. And it's especially a struggle when I am deep in my bad brain feels, which, spoiler alert, is right now. But I was thinking about this topic more and more, and I also really like speaking about my neurodivergent experience and figuring things out and discovering things about me. And I like talking about the flaws and failures of diet culture. So intuitive eating is basically what it sounds like. Eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're feeling full. It's very, very much like trying to, I think if you, in the best of worlds, I think intuitive eating is kind of designed to help people reconnect with their body and not be afraid of things and not, I'm not saying that it's tied with any of the body positivity or fat liberation stuff. You will sometimes hear it being spoken about, but it's not necessarily tied to that. So for me, I'm not necessarily going to give you the best in-depth definition of what intuitive eating is. It's never really been something that I've connected with for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I am somebody that spent the first 25 years of my life just completely engulfed in diet culture and trying to make myself smaller and feeling a lot of shame and negative, terrible, bad feelings related to food and my relationship with food. The perceived ease that so many people that spoke about intuitive eating seem to have with food always felt incredibly alienating. For a long time, I was just like, okay, it's not for me. That's fine. It is what it is. It wasn't until I feel like the last little bit, like 3 months, 6 months, have I, really talked to other people that have validated some of the feelings that I was having in terms of perceiving intuitive eating as just repackaged diet culture, which I do believe that's what it is. But the whole point of this video is that this I'm calling it an article. I never really know the proper wording for like a piece of writing is on the internet. This article I felt so seen reading through it. So I'm just gonna talk about the points it makes and we're just gonna talk about it. I'm going to link it in the description box, so feel free to read it if you feel so inspired. I am sure that there are going to be things that are not covered in today's video that are worth reading. This feels like it's a very, I still can't figure out what RD stands for, but it seems like a very medically informed based site. I am a human that can speak words. Definitely. It was written by Shira Cullings, who is a pre-licensed counselor and works with people with eating disorders, disordered eating, body image distress, and those breaking free from diet culture. And Shira is a neurodivergent diet culture dropout. So the whole concept of intuitive eating just always felt, exclusionary. I felt like it boiled down a lot of emotions and history and distress and all of that about food. It boiled it down to such a simple, straightforward approach that I always felt like I was like, who the fuck are you to tell me just eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full? Just listen to your body. Who are you? And I didn't necessarily have the community to speak to people about it and realize that, like, I am not the only one that, struggles with it. And it wasn't until joining Fat Girl Flow, Carissa's Patreon, and Discord. Fat community has been such a huge part of the last, 4 years of my life. And I'm just very, very thankful for people in that space and that space just existing to be able to have conversations that maybe aren't, the most, I don't even want to say politically correct, but just conversations between fat people in a space that is generally safer for fat people. It's been nice to just be able to say, oh, that just doesn't work for me. No. So this article has point by point things that it goes in depth on. One of the first ones is that neurodivergent people may struggle with interoception. Now, I actually just took a class on Sunday that talked about interoception. I also have no idea what I'm doing with my eyes, truly. I feel like I say that every time, but I really don't. Interoception is basically bodily sensations, and the sensations of fullness, the sensations of hunger, sensations of thirst. If you talk to neurodivergent people, even for, I'm going to say for a minute, but even for 5 seconds, one of us will bring up, the fact that we don't drink water because we don't get the sensation that we're thirsty until we are desert parched thirsty, or, our struggles to eat, or any number of things related to literally going to the bathroom. I am talking about our body and our brain. I feel like they're not the best at communicating. Most of us, would love for that to be different, but that's not the situation. We are, stuck in bodies that just don't want to really communicate. The article calls out 2 tenets of intuitive eating, which I don't even think I realized that I'm going to share with y'all in just a moment. Intuitive eating talks about honoring your hunger and feeling your fullness. I'm sure it's diet culture trauma, but even just hearing those 2 things, it made me go, how are we not perceiving this as diet culture repackaged? Also, I'm going to have to redo my under eyes because I'm just going in heavy-handed. Or maybe I won't. Might just embrace the green superhero mask. We're going to see. So the whole point with interoception is that the simple, again, these are tying into my complaints with intuitive eating, is that it's presented so simply, and for so many of us, especially for so many of us neurodivergent people, food and our body and all that is not simple. Like I was saying, a lot of us would like it to be simpler. That would be nice, but it's not. The next point, I am that Meryl Streep clapping moment. For neurodivergent people, emotional eating might be life-saving. I'm gonna say that again. For neurodivergent people, emotional eating might be life-saving. Look, that's another reason why, I have felt alienated from this whole movement, is because my relationship with food is fucked. It is. It's fucked. And emotions are tied in with food at a high degree. But that is a very real thing about being neurodivergent. And while I know that for a lot of us neurodivergent people, high emotion moments can make us even less hungry or less able to parse out hunger. But there are times and moments where emotions and food just literally have to go together. Intuitive eating places emphasis on not using food to cope with one's emotions and on eating in response to physical hunger, not emotional hunger. For neurodivergent people, this emphasis can lead to restriction and disordered eating and needs to be modified. Because neurodivergent people may struggle with feeling internal physical sensations, including hunger, they may not realize their body is in need of food until they are irritable, anxious, restless, or having a lot of thoughts of food or a particular kind of food, having urges to use food to stim or experience other phenomena that we may categorize as emotional hunger or mental hunger. For neurodivergent people, we need to emphasize eating as a response to any kind of hunger, not only physical hunger, but also mental and emotional hunger. Outside of my own, relationship with food, I felt like this comment about emotional eating was so important to read and to share, is that for so many neurodivergent people, for so many of us, we're not getting those internal hunger cues, but we might be getting the irritability, we might be getting the frustration, we might be getting the I'm bored. Real talk, if I eat while I'm bored, but that's the only time I'm eating that day, or that's one of just a few times, how the fuck are you going to criticize me for that? How are you going to have the audacity to tell me, well, you shouldn't eat when you're bored because because blah, blah. First of all, nobody should be commenting on another person's food habits or consumption at all, their body, none of it. We don't do that here. But I think this concept of oh, you don't want to eat when you're bored, or oh my god, one thing I keep hearing a lot, just in passing, just in little online conversations, usually not in fat liberation spaces or not in communities that are very much focused on fat liberation or the safety of fat people and people also with eating disorders. People will talk about, oh, I don't want to eat it so late, but I'm hungry. Baby girl, if you are hungry, eat. I know some people don't do it because it might exacerbate their stuff like indigestion, but I also know a lot of people that won't do it because of diet culture, because we have been told that, oh, you shouldn't eat before bedtime, it's bad for your body, you shouldn't eat before bedtime, you'll gain more weight. Okay, first of all, so what if I gain more weight? Oh, that's a problem for you because you're fat phobic. Okay, that's fine. You just gotta work on it. You gotta understand it. It's okay to be that thing. You just gotta understand where that comes from and hopefully work on your relationship with that. But maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. But the whole concept of I need to not eat at these certain times because of the way the world is perceiving those behaviors is really fucked up. Because I am going to say, yet again, for some of us, especially a lot of us neurodivergent people, if we wait to eat when it's the right moment, a lot of us don't eat. Even us fat ones. When you get tied up and sucked into this perception of when is the right time to eat? What is the right kind of food to eat? It can make a challenging thing so much harder. And I'm not, diagnosing anybody, but I do kind of feel like more of us have some fucking disordered eating shit to work on than we'd like to believe. Oh, okay. So this is something that I didn't necessarily know, or I didn't pay that much attention to when I first was like, learning about intuitive eating. But intuitive eating has this, you have to make peace with all foods thing. That's the interesting thing with this article, is that like there are just some things that I did not even know, and I'm concealing more because I want to see if this helps. I'm just feeling a little like a little much. I don't even know what I'm saying. But make peace with all foods. Go fuck yourself. That obviously makes me very angry. Look, I think that food is amazing. I also think food is fucking fraught and challenging. This concept that you have to make peace with all foods, whether you're, following intuitive eating or other whatever else, is just trash. It is just trash. People have sensory aversions. People have flavor aversions, which is a sensory aversion, but I'm just saying it in a different way. And it's not just like, oh, people are just picky. People should not have to do some fucking fear factor level acceptance of foods to be doing it right. If you are literally existing on the same 5 foods every day of your life, go you. I am cheering you on. And I have come a long way with this. Would I have had that same reaction 5 years ago? No. Would I have held some judgmental ass perspectives on food? Have I? Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. I have held some judgy ass perspectives on food. I have learned a lot in the last couple of years, and I have to say the last couple of years have really opened my eyes to my own needs and desires when it comes to food, among many other things. So this concept of making peace with all foods is honestly ableist. It's ableist as fuck. Nobody needs to make peace with all foods. I think it's, good to have foods that you feel comfortable eating and that they're accessible to you, but that's more on the capitalist system and less on you. Because sometimes things happen where your safe foods are no longer accessible to you, and that is not your fault, and it fucking sucks. Yeah, speaking from experience, it fucking sucks. People with thin hair, how do you use bobby pins? Because I don't understand it. It does not function for my hair. So yeah, fuck making peace with all foods. Fuck that. Oh, I missed this one. So another thing that intuitive eating talks about is mindful eating. The way I perceive that is very much like you shouldn't have, your TV on while you're eating, or you shouldn't be consuming media while you're eating. You should just basically be focusing on every single bite of food that's going into your body. Absolutely the fuck not. First of all, being that mindful in any situation is damn near impossible for many of us neurodivergent people, whether it's because we are escaping this world because it's fucking terrible, because we have trauma, because any number of reasons. So to tell me that when I eat, I need to be paying attention to every single bite that's going into my mouth, savoring it, chewing it, swallowing it, judging if I'm full enough, that's disordered eating in my book. That would open up disordered eating thoughts for me. That is a very controlling way of experiencing food for me. And it's kind of amazing to me that intuitive eating has this perspective on food. Well, no, it's not amazing. It's okay. Let me finish my lip and I'll come back. I think it's really frustrating that intuitive eating is recommended to so many people who have a complicated relationship to food or have had disordered eating thoughts or eating disorders in the past. I know I'm being hyperbolic, but that level of attention towards your food is disordered eating bullshit. That incredibly mindful, I am putting a bite, that is disordered eating. For people that I know that have had anorexia, that's reminiscent. For people that I've known that have had other disordered eating disorder situations that maybe don't have a strong specific name to them, I'm mad about it, actually. I'm mad about it because I think in a lot of ways I just like stopped listening to a lot of the chatter about intuitive eating, and so this is bringing a lot of that back to mind, and I'm fucking pissed. One other thing, and like this I'm pretty sure I knew because it pissed me off before. So intuitive eating has a focus on movement, or it encourages people to, I guess, like get back to movement. While I do think that intuitive eating, trying to help people shift their relationship with movement from weight loss and from the grips of diet culture, I also think that that is a huge undertaking that is not something that everybody has access to do. Not everybody has financial access to gyms. Not everybody lives in a situation where their outside area, if they have any, is like safe to just go walking, or maybe their body, that movement is not optimal for them. And also, as the article mentions, for any of us that struggle with executive function or dysfunction, or struggle with routines and all of that, you're looking at me to work out 5 days a week when I can barely eat a meal a day 7 days a week? Absolutely not. And obviously for me in particular, my relationship to movement is very fucked. Very fucked. So anybody that's like highly recommending that and really pushing it as a necessary part of healing, get away. Go away. So with the finished look, we'll come up with some finished thoughts. At the end of the article that I was referencing this whole time, they touch on the fact that while they believe that, intuitive eating can be a good tool, blah, 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 it can also just be like a diet. And I have to say, this is a bit where I might diverge from this article, in that after filming this whole thing, I read this article. It did not fully sink in, just all of the things. And so right now, I'm feeling that intuitive eating is just repackaged diet culture. And it is dangerous if you are a person that has a fraught relationship with food, a fraught relationship with movement, or if you're neurodivergent, or if you have a history of disordered eating or eating disorders. There are major tenets of intuitive eating, unless you have done a lot of healing and you're very aware of what you're getting yourself into. Unless all of that is true, I think some of the main tenets of intuitive eating can be incredibly harmful and can keep your brain in that disordered eating, like, mind palace. It keeps you there. It keeps you stuck in there. I'm going to have the article linked. I think that it made a lot of good points, and I think that especially if you're neurodivergent, or if you are unsure, but some of these things have felt relatable, it might be good to take a step back and question it. I think for so many of us, finding a system, a right way to do this thing is like a lifesaver when you're in the ocean. But sometimes those things are not actually what's saving you. And the fucked up and complicated part about all of this is that food is a necessary and vital part of life. This isn't smoking cigarettes. This isn't taking a drug or being into a non-prescription drug. This isn't something like that. Food is a vital part of our life. We literally cannot exist without it. I'm looking at you, New York Mag. I'm looking at that, looking at you. Food is a vital part of life. So thinking that you have found something that can replace all of the bad, systems you've tried in the past can make an attachment even stronger. But it's possible that this intuitive eating thing is simply feeding into behaviors that have already been built, and it's just confirming a lot of these things. And if you've watched all of this and gotten this far and you do use intuitive eating and it completely works for you and you're neurodivergent, or maybe you have, a fraught history with food or with your body, if it's working for you, amazing. I'm so fucking happy for you. That is a sincere feeling. But if you've been questioning it, or if you are somebody that is just feeling very seen, I'm so glad that you found my video and I hope you enjoyed it. Look, there has been a lot going on in the world related to fat phobia that I keep thinking about making videos on, but a lot of it is really, really heavy. I can't always be that place. So I felt like this was a nice kind of conversation to have. This shit is complicated, and I keep going back to the fact of if anything feels like it's just that magic bullet, the magic thing that is going to fix it all. And by it all, I mean your relationship with food, your relationship with your body, your relationship with movement, your internalized or external fat phobia, all of these things. Nothing is a magic bullet. If something is working for you, that's amazing. But if it's not, or if it never did, that's okay. I think that's it. I was trying to end on some just banger of a thing. But before I go though, I want to thank my patrons and my channel members. Y'all literally keep this channel afloat. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to everybody that's watched. If you've gotten this far, I would love to see you in the comments. And if not, thank you for being here anyway. Most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday, because you are worth it. Bye, friends.